here now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm officially calling the meeting to order. Now you can hear me. Think I'm at home. Okay. I'm officially calling the meeting to order at 2:05. That's correct. And we are just a little bit late because there are a number of people that are very interested in making sure that their issues about bylaws are heard. You still can't hear me?
Clearly.
Okay. Chuck, can we get the volume turned up on this? Oh, that's better. Thank you. Thank you. Now I can put it in the stand, Jerry says. Okay. Anyway, I really want to encourage anyone that wants to speak. And I have assured people you're not going to throw any rotten tomatoes at them. Is that right? Mainly because we don't have any rotten tomatoes in here. But I'm really a champion of people being able to be heard. As you know, my entire presidency has been about listening to people and their issues and concerns. And so this bylaw vote was supposed to have been done the second quarter. But after some discussion, and when we get to the bylaw part, I'll give you some background and we'll explain more. But basically, the executive committee decided that it was not ready at that point because of a particular issue, and I'll explain all that when we get to the bylaws. But in the meantime, I hope that everyone has the package of the agenda. And I have not counted, but we obviously have well over 100 people in here. I don't know how many chairs it was set for, but we definitely have a quorum. And the only guest that I'm aware of is Diane Williams, who's one of our board members. Where are you, Diane? If you would just stand. Great. Thank you. And it is a holiday, so some of our other board members have already taken advantage of that. And so the things we're going to do with the board members, we're going to move that to our annual meeting, which are going to be some exciting times. Okay, let's move to the moment of remembrance. And let's just have a few moments of silence, please. Thank you. And now all of our new residents, and you have a handout on that. About 7, I think. If you all are here, would you stand? Bonnie Coleman, Jane Brown, John and Ann Donovan, Virginia Faustino Pinto, George and Fran Ramsey, not in house, Adelia Braderas and Carolyn Goebel. Are any of you all here? No one's here? Oh my goodness. Well, we're welcoming you anyway. You all, when you see them, tell them, oh yeah, we tried to welcome you, but we missed you, so. Okay, now I'm going to call on Catherine McIntyre for the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes for the July 8th, 2024 quarterly meeting. Is there a second?
Who seconded? Fred Morgan.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Okay, the minutes are carried.
Motion.
Okay, our treasurer's report, Sharon Verlander.
you can see me. I don't have to stand behind this. My name is Sharon Verlander. I live on the second floor of the Preston, and I am the treasurer of the WRA. Anybody has any questions about my report or would like to see the books at any time, all you gotta do is call me. Knock on the door. I'm not there a lot, but I'm around, and I'll be happy to answer any questions I can. Other than that, I'm going to ask for acceptance of the balance sheet ending September 31st or September 30th, and the P&L, profit and loss.
And Charlie McEwen asked for that, made that motion, seconded that motion.
Oh, okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to take just a little bit of time. This may be one of those meetings we go over our 1 hour. It'll break my record, but it's an important issue, and we do want anyone that wants to be heard. We will ask you to come to the podium here and pull the mic down and say your name and the building that you reside in, and then make your statement. The process we're going to use is I will share some background of kind of how we got here, and I want to call to your attention 2 documents in the handouts when you came in. These were posted and on the portal, and for people that didn't have green dots, they were put in your boxes. Both the WRA Bylaws Revision Committee 2 report, and the date it has on it is August 14, 2024, and the letter from Jim Hersa of October 3, 2023. Those are the 2 written documents that you have, and I would ask you to have those out and refer to them when we start the discussion. I intend to lay out the first document from the report, the Committee 2 report. The language in 4.02 of our bylaws and 4.04. And ask for a motion for approval. And then ask for anyone wishing to speak for or against. And then as you are recognized, if you would come up and state your name and the building you reside in, and then whatever you would like to be heard on. And I may be asking, are you going to speak for or against, so that we can rotate it back and forth if we need to do that. If we don't have anyone that wants to speak, that's fine too. And then, before we vote on that, Jim Hersa will have spoken, and I will call on him to come up and present the first motion. He has 2 motions that he's proposing as amendments to the motion that we'll be voting on. We will vote that up or down, and then we'll take the second motion, vote it up or down. Our objective, non-involved people who will be counting for us are Chuck Borst and Sarah Lloyd. So we'll ask you to hold your hands high, and we'll ask them to get a count. We'll give that count to the secretary, and that will be how we proceed. we won't be voting on section 4.04A. That was a part of the report, but it was a very detailed, and it is a very detailed, and you have the chart that goes with that. Chart that shows you how the committee recommended implementation of any bylaw changes, of these bylaw changes that the committee recommended, starting in 2024, which would be with our nominating committee that comes up this fall in our annual meeting to nominate for Class 2. But the actual implementation is not something we're going to put in the bylaws for several reasons. First of all, it's already out of date. We've had some changes of some people making decisions about whether or not they want to be considered again, etc. And so, and it's just, it's a responsibility of the executive committee to implement that anyway. And then after we have done whatever we do today, it has been a strong recommendation of all the committees, and it is a strong intent of the executive committee that we run this by an attorney to look at and make sure. And if the attorney finds any language issues or anything else that we need to address, we have an executive committee meeting, regularly scheduled executive committee meeting tomorrow, and our executive committee will take up options. We have a lot of options for what we do or need to do or whatever, but we won't be implementing any changes to the bylaws until we have run it by an attorney to make sure that everything is copacetic. So the background on this is in the 2023, last year's nominating committee, which chaired by Bob Rudehauser. And Bob, are you here? Oh, there he is. Thank you. It was chaired by Bob, and the committee, Kathy, up with the committee members. Anyway, with the committee members that served on Bob's committee stand. Okay. 1, 2, 3. We're missing anyone, Bob? Oh, okay, good. All right, thank you all. When that committee was doing their work to nominate for positions for Class 2, they encountered a number and reported to the executive committee a number of very talented residents that were interested in serving on the executive committee, but there was only one slot. And because of the practice of renominating for another term, if anyone on the executive committee, first thing the nominating committee did was say, do you want to serve another term? And if the person said yes, they were automatically renominated. A previous nominating committee, because we never had term limits on anything in the WRA, a previous committee had implemented the ability to make some slots by not accepting the ask on the part of everyone that asked to be renominated. And so that caused some really hard feelings. And so this nominating committee said, we think we need, that Westminster Resident Association needs term limits in our bylaws so that when you've served two year terms, you rotate off for a period of time, and we automatically will have some positions, more positions open and available for new people to come in. in that meeting, I immediately, and that was an executive committee meeting that Bob was making the report, I immediately, as my role as president, asked Bob if he and his committee, I wanted to reappoint them immediately since they were very familiar with the problem, for them to propose how you would change the bylaws to make it work better. And so they did, and they came back. When they came back with their report and their recommendations, we had a very robust executive committee meeting wherein we ended up voting unanimously that we were not ready to bring a bylaw revision to the membership because we had not specifically addressed the issue of, right now, our class 1 contains all of our officers. And so when that term limit is over, all the officers go off. And so you have a 100% turnover of officers and no continuity. And after we talked about that, that was really a bad idea. And so I was instructed to appoint another committee, and it was at this point that Bob said, we've done our duty. We don't want another shot at this apple. It's time for somebody else. And so we did appoint what's called Committee 2 and of the bylaws revision, for bylaws revision. And in that report that you have a copy of, you have the names of all the members that were on that committee. And I asked Mikhail Shackelford to chair that because she had previously acted when we had votes on nominations as a parliamentarian person. So 20 days ago, when I sat down with her to prepare for this meeting, she said, oh my God, I didn't realize we're going to be in London. I'm not going to be here. And so we talked about it, and then because this was sending the whole thing, shebang, back to a new committee, that committee made very little changes in what the previous committee had brought forward on the actual bylaw changes, but they did bring us what's in the section 4.04, a very detailed process for how the transition would occur. And so that, it just made more sense for you all as members to vote on this, to have the whole picture of what was intended to happen, what has been proposed, and then what is intended for the executive committee to implement. And so let's check my notes. Got ahead of myself. Good. Everything's on track. So this WRA Bylaws Revision Committee report is the result of that work of that particular committee. The members are listed in the top of in the very beginning of the report. And the other thing that's important, once again, I can't emphasize this enough, I really believe strongly in being as open and as transparent as possible in what we consider and what we do. And so you may feel like you've had too much paper, but I would rather err on the side of the first bylaw change that implements term limits in the history of our association. I think it's important enough that you get more information rather than less. And so with that, I would ask you to take out your bylaws revision committee 2 report that you got in that packet. And the only other thing I would say is that our secretary, Kathy McIntyre, is sitting right over here. And if we come up with the need for additional amendments to the motions, et cetera, she has paper and pen. Please go write down your motion and give it to Kathy and file it with Kathy, and it will be taken up. So. You will look at page 3 in the Bylaws Revision Committee 2. I am laying out for consideration bylaw changes in section 4.02 and 4.04. Does anyone need me to read that to you? You want me to read it to you? No, okay. I'll give you just a couple more minutes to look at it. When you're finished reading, if you would just look up so I can tell that you finished. Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for or against this bylaw change? If you will raise your hand. Would you stand? Yes, would you come up to the microphone and state your name and the building you live in, Catherine? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Catherine Ray. I live in the Carlisle building, and I was on the committee 2, the bylaws committee 2. And I'm actually speaking against the bylaws committee 2 proposition after having seen Jim Yursa's proposal, because really, 3 of us on that committee would have gone farther than we did, but there was a sense that maybe to go farther was, maybe we should take baby steps, that maybe people might not want to move that fast, and we would have gone farther than what Jim Yursa did. So I think his is an excellent compromise, and I would heartily recommend that we consider Jim Yursa's proposal in lieu of the committee. And I don't think the committee two is going to be offended by your accepting his amendments to our
Okay.
work. So
Thank you
that's
very
just
much.
one
Kathy.
member's, one member's take on it.
Is the motion in order?
Hadn't been made yet.
I said, is it in order? Can the motion be made, is what I'm asking.
We need to do that before we discuss it.
Okay.
Do
Chuck,
we need to make a motion before the discussion? Maybe that was.
Okay. Okay, you want to make the motion for, well, okay, I will make the motion that this language in 402 and 404 be laid out on the floor for consideration. And
That doesn't need to be a motion, you can do that.
I can do that because it came
You just
from,
lay it out for discussion.
okay, laid it out for discussion. Thank you, Tiffany.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want to speak to the motion, Bill Sleece?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the order of march as far as discussion.
Okay, we need you to come to the microphone, please. We are recording this. There are some people like Mikhail that's in London that really wanted to know what we did.
I guess I better speak loud if it has to be heard in London.
Okay, I'm not sure about the procedure of doing this. I read the original proposal and I read Jim Yursa's carefully and discussed it a bit. I feel that as the member of, and I didn't get your name, but the member of the Committee 2 said, Jim Yursa's alterations of the original proposal is very well thought out. Here's Jim. And if we can, I would, and if everybody has acquainted yourselves with this sufficiently, I would like to cut to the chase and move that we adopt the committee's recommendations with Jim Yursa's.
As amended by Jim
As
Yursa.
amended by Jim Yursa.
Are you talking about both of his motions? Or
Yes.
just both of his motions?
I would
Tiffany,
like-
help us,
I would like to be heard procedurally wise,
please.
Here you go.
and procedurally wise, there is a proposal before us by the committee.
Right.
We know that 2 amendments are coming up proposing changes in the committee's report. Those amendments have not been offered yet.
Right.
And those amendments should be voted on before the resolution of the committee.
Absolutely.
That's the proper procedure.
Okay.
So right now, I call on the author of the
Jim Yursa.
amendments to move to adopt them.
Jim, can you,
Yes.
Jim, can you go to the microphone so we can record, please? You need to go there so she can get you on the video.
Oh, yes, be on the video. Well, I think you've all,
You gotta move the microphone up right in front of you, Jim.
okay, can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I'm pleased that so many people are here to discuss this issue. Let me just say a couple of things before
Can't hear you guys.
I make the motion to amend. And I'm Jim Yursa, you know my name. We live in Carlisle, C407. We've been here for about a year and a half. And I've been a member of a number of organizations where the bylaws and the term limits are extremely important. And so it struck me that, that this is no different. And the difference in this organization is that we have a very short time here. And there's only a few years where we'll have the energy and the interest to do that. I'm not judging that, but I think the facts are that this is not like an organization that has membership from age 30 to 80. And so that's what concerned me. And the concept of having two two-year terms with a 1 year break and then 2 more two-year terms meant that people could serve for 8 out of 9 years. And that didn't seem like term limits to me. And so that was the reason for the first motion, for the first part of that. The second is that the partial terms would not count. However, if someone comes in, let's say, 3 months after starting a term and decides they cannot continue, that means the replacement could serve for almost 2 years, plus 4. That would mean you could serve for literally 6 years, plus a year out, 4 more. And so you could have, if you want, 9 out of 10 years. And once again, that didn't strike me as term limits. And so that's the background for amendment number 1. I think if you look at it, the wording doesn't change much, but a few words make a big difference. Changing the 1 year to 3 and changing the partial term of more than 1 year counts as a full term. And so with that, you've all got it in front of you. I'd like to amend the motion following what is in your packet.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
We have several seconds, but Tibby put his hand up first. Okay.
Now then, a second. You want to talk about the second?
Oh, well,
You
don't
talked
want
about both of them.
You want more discussion on this, or all together?
Should separate.
You should do each one separately, so, please come to the microphone, Catherine.
Let me share my microphone.
I'm being an editor here. Does this mean, did you actually?
Can you speak to the microphone, Catherine, please?
Two.
I'm questioning, it's an editorial
Would
comment.
it be 2 2-year terms totaling up to 4?
It's 2 2-year terms?
Not 2 4-year terms.
That would be 2 2-year terms for a 4-year, If that needs to be changed, we can certainly change that.
I don't see where she's talking about.
Where are you talking about, Catherine? On Jim's?
So, where it says, proposed change 1, I think the intention there was to say, that the reason is to extend the time between 2 2-year terms. Not 4-year terms, because we don't have 4-year terms. We have
Well,
2-year terms.
My intent was that I'm assuming that many people will want to be on will run again after 2 years, which would give them 4 years, and then they would be ineligible for another 3 years. So if that wording is not clear, I'm certainly willing to change that.
It is.
Pardon?
Our parliamentary person believes that it's clear. But we'll run this by the attorney before, and I think the report says, Mikhail had already edited the report somewhat because the report had said 2 2-year terms, and
Right.
and then somebody. Go ahead.
What is being referred to is the reason, but the wording is down below.
Yes,
And
the
that is
wording.
correct.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So the wording
So
in the
we're-
actual motion
we're-
down
We're
below.
not voting in what's dark letters, we're voting on what's below that. The highlighted letters were strictly a reason why I was proposing that.
Is everybody with us?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Kevin?
I move the adoption of amendment number 1.
Okay. Who seconded that? Paul, okay. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. By raising your hand, your
Raise your
right
hand.
or your left hand. Oh my goodness, I'm not,
Okay,
we
so
need to
I don't
count.
need to count.
No, I'll just go ahead and call for any opposed. I see none. Okay, First Amendment is,
Number 2.
now we move to proposed change number 2.
Okay. Proposed change number 2 is perhaps more, it's not quite as technical as the first one. The wording that says who has been active in WRA affairs, such as by serving on a WRA committee, seemed very vague to me. And I don't know, maybe everyone knew what that meant. I was not sure what that meant, but it seems to me that the only thing that we really need to consider is who is eligible in terms of residency here. And the nominating committee can make all the considerations they want as to what constitutes the background that is needed to serve on the committee. And so that 1 year act, who has been active in WRA affairs has been taken out, and the actual residence I changed to an in-house resident for at least 1 year. And so that's the basis for proposed change number 2.
Okay,
I move to adopt it.
okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Tibby moved, Tibby Wright moved to adopt, and John McGee seconds it. All in favor say aye by raising your right hand, or any hand.
Aye.
And say aye, okay. Any opposed? 1, 2, 3. So it carries. Okay, so the motion on the floor for the changes from the committee have been amended with these 2 amendments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against or propose an amendment? Okay.
I move the adoption of the committee's report as amended.
As amended, okay? Who seconded? Oh, Paul Gumdale, thank you, Paul. All in favor, say aye by raising your right hand or a hand. Okay, any opposed? I see none opposed. Okay, then we have adopted these changes. And we will implement it as proposed by the committee. The executive committee will meet tomorrow and we will have some discussion about that. And then we also will still submit this language to an attorney and before we actually implement it. And if we find any other issues or whatever, we will do due diligence to inform you, and executive committee has a number of options about how to deal with that. And we'll discuss that tomorrow and then we'll move on. Thank you all very much. Good job. And thank you, Jim. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the membership? There's always this offer, so, and I don't see any. Okay. Move to the president's report, and I'll call on Cynthia Leach.
Good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Leach. I'm a 9+ year resident in the Windsor building. I'm going to talk about the ACC Foundation Scholarship that the WRA started in December of 2021. And the scholarship is for students primarily in the fields of healthcare and culinary arts, two areas that we would certainly benefit from, as well as other senior living communities. We are the only senior resident in Austin with such a scholarship. Our current balance is $63,310. This year, the WRA Executive Committee issued a challenge, and they would match up to $7,500 given in 2024. So far, by our residents. So far, our residents have given $1,950. So we're shy on that. Being near the end of the year, I would ask if you would all consider donating to what I think is this very worthy cause to give people a chance to improve themselves and their lifestyle. So I have donation cards and envelopes if anybody needs one, and please consider donating before the end of the year. I'd appreciate it, and I know the students that have received these scholarships would also. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Sue Jordan? There you go. I'm sorry? Cynthia, how many scholarships does $63,000 provide for?
I have no idea. But that's endowed money. That's not given as scholarships. The earnings are what are given as scholarships.
I understand that, but
We need about
I was just wondering.
in current, yes.
I'll get with you later, Stuart. I can find out for you.
We'll find out and get back to you.
Thank you.
Another question?
Yes, where is that on the treasury report?
It's not. This
It's
is endowed
not.
money. This is not our money. We have given it to
It goes to
ACC Foundation. They manage it. They manage the investments. They also manage the award of the scholarships. It's a
Okay,
good thing.
the question was, where is this in our financial reports? And Cynthia says it's not, because the money goes directly to ACC
Foundation.
Foundation.
One more question,
Yes, ma'am, please stand.
is this tax deductible as well?
Is it tax deductible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it
And
is
what
tax
Jeffrey reminded me
deductible.
is $2,500 pays for a full year's of tuition at ACC, which is about a fourth of any other school in town. So it's a really good bargain and very helpful. All age students. It's not just those coming out of high school, but there are many students, not near us, but close.
Okay, other
Thank you.
questions?
Sorry, Sue.
Okay,
Okay, there's too much going on, so I'm not going to read you what I had planned. Westminster provides our emergency buttons, and the beaders make the beads for them. When we come in here, a lot of us are still very active and agile, but we are all getting to an age where our bones aren't quite as good as they were. This is my spiel to wear our emergency buttons. We have them back there on the beads, and I want anyone who's got a good reason for not wearing them to come and tell me later. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Roland Cook and Boyd, would you come on, start coming down, please, while
I know
Roland's
your 1 hour limit.
trying.
I'm Roland Cook, and I'm chair this year of the Residents Appreciation Fund. I was asked to do this back in January. I don't know why, but remembering the late Judge Herman Jones, who always said, if you ask me to do something early enough, I would probably agree to say a few words at my own funeral. So I accepted, and we put together a really good committee made up of people who have been involved with this before, like Gail Ross, Bernie Schiff, and Sharon Verlander, and Pat Wright. And then if you're in the, let me read the names of the other committee members. If you're here, stand up. Francis Servants, Leon Feinbuch, Dave Helfert, Diane Ireson, I got her to join, Fern Kaiba, Phyllis Sinkin, Marilyn Vinson, and Julie Brooks is the head of this at this outfit.
Thank you,
And
guys.
just we're off to a great start. If you see anybody wearing one of these badges with red and white stripes, we're not candy stripers. We're members of this committee, so please give. We will have more money. It's already in the pipeline, so give generously as much and as often as you can. Thank you.
Okay. Boyd and, would you come over to the front here, and I'm gonna call Chuck to make a presentation, and Diane Williams, would you stand with Chuck as a board member?
Mr. Taylor, thank you so much for beginning the Writer's Journal for us. I remember sitting in my office a few years ago when you broached the idea. It's been fantastic. We're so proud of you and everything that you've done with it and all of your efforts here.
Look this way. Thank you, sir. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. As he's walking away, I'm going to remind you that he's in the back of the room selling these, and I'll remind you again later, just in case.
And Catherine McGee, where are you? If you could come up, and Lori, if you could come up. Catherine McGee has been elected by the committee as Lori and Boyd stepped down. And so Catherine is going to be the managing editor for the Journal. Let's give her a big hand and welcome her. And then if you two would come up here so we can get you on the video and get a picture. The Residents Executive Committee passed a resolution of appreciation. Be it resolved that on this day, October 14, 2024, the Residents Association honors Lori Humphreys on the occasion of her retirement as co-managing editor of the Westminster Writers' Journal. Lori has been a powerful influence on the development of the journal, from the first edition in 2020 in the midst of COVID to the release of the 6th edition today. Her literary sensibility, the encouragement she has offered the journal's contributors, and her willingness to do the work have been major factors in producing a journal that is first-rate and unique to Westminster among peers. You have won a special place, Lori, in the hearts of the writers who live at Westminster, the poets, the memorists, all the storytellers. You have sought out talented people to join the journal's editorial board, and you have led them through the challenges of each year's publication process. Your patience, your kindness, and most important, your talent as a writer and as a leader have been essential to the success of this journal. So it is my privilege to stand here with Catherine McGee and give you this resolution of appreciation and say thank you on behalf of the residents. Thanks. Thank you, Catherine, for taking on the job.
Yes. Bravo.
Okay, at this point, if Kathy Kelly would come forward, please. Is Kathy Kelly here? Oh my goodness, that's what happens when you try to surprise somebody. Okay. This is a resolution of appreciation that the Residents Association wishes to give to Kathy Kelly for her many years of service as chair of the Wellness Committee and for developing the invaluable program to introduce all residents to the many committees which operate under the auspices of the WRA. Not only did Kathy develop and produce the program in 2023, but has volunteered to be in charge of the same program to be offered all residents in November of 2024. That's November 7th, if you don't have it on your calendar. Kathy's going to conduct that program. We're very grateful to Kathy's generous contribution of her time and talents. And so she will be given this. Probably the way she prefers it, not to be in front of everyone, but when you see her, let her know. We know she wasn't here. And finally, I am going to turn the floor over to Chuck Borst for the report of the Executive Director.
Thank you. I have a full 4 minutes. Just wanted to mention that we have some renderings in the back and plans for our final phase of construction, phase 4. LCS Development, Dan Novelli, Christy Clemens are both here. Greg Huntman with Pi Architects is here, so if you have any complaints, give them to Greg. And we have some leadership team members that will be happy to answer any questions you might have and have a look at those renderings. I think it looks fantastic. You may find fault with something, but just mention it and we'll do what we can to make it right. But so many positives coming out of this final phase of our expansion project. And I think this is tired. It's not wanting to work today. Let's see.
Tessa?
There we go. Again, we'll begin this project in spring of 25, projected to last about 16 to 18 months. Laurel Dining is to be completed first. We expect that to take 7 to 9 months. This is our final phase of expansion. This is one of the maps that you'll see in the back. This is the first floor of the Preston and Windsor, the ground floor. The coffee shop is down there in the right-hand corner at the bottom. Also, the new salon is down there. As you go up the corridor, you'll see that blue area there. That's the new game room with the bowling alley. As you go down the corridor, there's a new theater, and then you can walk into the conservatory. And then there's the new corridor that connects A and B wing. I'll just show you a few renderings, and then I'm going to let you all go, and you can mingle and visit and look at the plans. I also have copies of this presentation available at all the reception desks and also on the portal if you haven't. And these have some new renderings I haven't showed previously. This is the outside of the coffee shop, this east courtyard off of Jackson. And this is the new conservatory. This will be in the Preston courtyard. And you can see the corridor in the background that connects A and B wing on the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor of the Preston building. This is the west courtyard. That brown box that sits behind the fireplace is the new generator. It's a repurpose of the Windsor generator. It'll provide power for the entire Preston building for up to 7 days. Complete power. I'm not going to answer any questions here today, so I'll answer them in the back. Little fireplace and outdoor TV that sits in front of it. You can see the hedged area. There's a new dog park back there. Covered seating, so you can grab an ice cream or a cocktail and go out and enjoy it in the new west courtyard. This is a cocktail lounge that the Laurel dining room will soon have. And as you know, it has a liquor license. This is a conservatory. It's 2 stories. It will connect on the first and second floor of the Windsor. The second floor of the Windsor, you'll be able to look into the conservatory down below. This has a nano wall concept, so basically walls that can be opened up if we have big events. You can do music and other presentations in this area. It has a live green wall, which is not real green plants, not real live plants, but brings the indoors out, or the outdoors in. There's live trees and plants to soften the space. Really going to be a nice outdoorsy space that you can enjoy all year long. This is a coffee shop. This is a rendering or the map of the second floor. So you can see that the new library is right across from the current library. It's about double the size, double the shelf space. And then the conservatory is to the left there of the new corridor that connects A and B wing. This is the third floor. So Harris Bell Hall picks up some more space. There's currently storage closets back there. All of those go away and another set of doors gets put into this space, and then it moves back a little bit. It'll have a new collection kind of space, a formal space that's precedes this room, so a little receiving area. And then outside, it will open into the deck that sits on top of the conservatory, which will have outdoor raised planter beds. So if Preston residents or Windsor residents have a desire to garden, they can do that in the area. Also soft seating, as well as tables and chairs with umbrellas out there. And then it goes a ramp along Harris Bell Hall, goes up to the new club room, which overlooks the sports courts that I've been talking about. And yes, these will have sound mitigation in them so that we won't be bothered by pickleball all hours of the night. We will stop pickleball at like 9 o'clock. Lots of reasons we're doing this project. One is that, when we had the ice storm, we wanted to be able to provide better power to our community. We never lost power, thankfully, but many communities around Austin, Central Texas did. This project is going to give the Preston and the Windsor building full power for a full 7 days. That's every air conditioning, heating system, light, everything. We're going to improve the west courtyard to include a larger dog park because that's a desire amongst the residents. We want to improve that west courtyard to make it more usable space rather than just a pass-through courtyard. We wanted to improve the outdoor area off the Laurel dining room, further secure Preston courtyard and campus, HVAC improvements for the Laurel dining room, so heating and air conditioning improvements, and also improve connectivity between the Preston and the Windsor building, as also A and B wings. Improve connectivity and accessibility across the campus, addition of another secured courtyard to the campus, so the east and Preston courtyard will be secured at this point. Increased programming areas, additional activity spaces, a larger library with an IT help desk, more wellness space, indoor sports simulator for golf and other games, a game room with bowling, arcade, board games, etc., an outdoor multi-sport court, and with sound mitigation, addition of a conservatory with conditioned courtyard space or access, improved connectivity and function at Harrisville Hall, addition of the club room for social hours and gatherings. We wanted to bring ping pong to the community. Residents have been asking for that, and billiards as well. Add a multi-purpose space and offices for Ruth and Community Life Services, including an activities kitchen and a crafting space, and a multi-purpose room that can seat up to 100 people. An addition of a real movie theater classroom space that has an inclined floor and movie theater seating, surround sound, great place to watch movies or to do presentations. The addition of a coffee shop with access to the new courtyard between the Windsor and the Preston. And improve the Laurel dining room with the cocktail lounge, regrading of West Drive and Central Drive area for better drainage, no more Lake Westminster. Mrs. Leach won't have to call me anymore to tell me that Lake Westminster is full. Provide for a larger salon, day spa with esthetician and massage room, so no more fighting over the one room. We'll have to increase the size of the fitness studio for larger classes, provide for shade above Harrisville Hall balcony space, and addition of security fence along east side of campus. Despite the rumor, we will not have razor wire on the top of that security fence. Improved appearance and function of the Preston lobby. Really add vestibules to each entrance so that it's easier to control the air conditioning and heating in that space. Make the courtyards ADA compliant with safer access for residents and families. Addition of outdoor dining location for the Laurel dining room. upgrade the stormwater drainage in the Preston courtyard. None of you really care about that, but you will if it ever rains. Upgrade heating and cooling for Preston lobby by adding the vestibules, as I mentioned, and improve security and access control. And hopefully reposition Westminster for the future, another 50 years of Westminster leading the market. This is a picture of the club room looking in from, or walking in from the sports courts. This is our chapel. It'll be on the second floor. This is the sports courts. They only have the pickleball lines on this, but you will be able to have it marked for other sports as well, and you'll be able to use the space. And this is a game room with a real bowling alley. It is 15 feet shorter than an actual bowling alley, but so it's senior friendly. And the last thing I have, thank you so much for your time today.
It's been my privilege to work with Troy Humphreys, co-managing editor of the Westminster Writers' Journal, for each of its exhibitions. Our goal from the beginning has been to provide a forum for the poets and writers who live at Westminster. We edit the book so it is professional in appearance and content, but we decided early on we wanted to keep true to the writer's voice, and so we have.
100 Westminster writers have been represented in the journal by poets, by writers of personal histories and other nonfiction, by storytellers, short stories, chapters from novels in progress, a one-act play. But we haven't stood still. This edition, for the first time, will include drawings by Westminster artists and cartoons. And we have a feature story about his father by resident George Boreano, who tragically died before he could see his story in print.
I helped to copy edit George's An Immigrant's Tale. He worked hard researching and telling the story of his father's escape from Russia during the Russian Civil War, a boy with a price on his head, as he was in the Tsar's Russian Cadet Corps. We are so lucky to be able to print this amazing tale of Glib Boreanow's escape, his adventures in Africa and South America, and finally his life in America, where he became a friend of the Roosevelt and the McCormick families. This story is so compelling. When I first read it, I found it very hard to put it down.
The Westminster Writers' Journal requires respect, both for the quality of the work and for the contributors who share their work with us. It also requires dedication and hard work by the dozen residents who labor for several months to produce each edition. The copy editors, the formatting team, the publicity and marketing team.
The journal would never have been possible without the wholehearted support of Chuck Forst and his Westminster team. He heard our proposal and offered for Westminster to pay for the first edition. The sales proceeds of that edition, if it was successful, would pay for the next edition. It was successful, and so in that way, the journal has become self-sufficient. Sales from the 6th edition will pay for the 7th, and so on.
As Boyd and I place the journal's managing editor's job into the competent hands of Catherine McGee, we thank you all, the writers, the artists, the editorial board, and especially everyone who has supported the journal. Thank you.
We encourage you to buy the journal. Your purchase will support our work. As you read it, you will find what interesting stories your neighbors have to share.
Pick up your copy.
And Chuck will be in the back at the stations if you all have any questions.
It's been my
about
privilege to work with Lori Humphreys, co-managing editor of the Westminster Writers' Journal.
Thank you all for coming. We made history today in a number of ways, and we honored some people that we are very appreciative of. So go buy a journal and enjoy some food and beverage.